original Cadzow village was at the point in the Clyde where the Cadzow burn enters it, and the village was called Cadzow. It was in a charter of 1445 granted by King James II of Scotland to Sir James Hamilton, the first Lord of Hamilton, who had married the King's daughter, that Cadzow changed its name to Hamilton. Consequently, it must be assumed the Parish Church of Hamilton decided to give this name to their first daughter church that would be built in Woodside Walk. The Industrial Revolution created a demand for coal, and in the mid-19th century, there was a rise in the number of coal mines in Hamilton and district. This brought about an increase in the population, which was 3,600 in 1800 and 25,000 by 1900. This resulted in a lack of housing, schools and churches in the town. Hamilton Parish Church of Scotland reacted by providing daughter churches in areas of Hamilton, one of which was Cadzow. In 1875, the Duke of Hamilton gave an area of ground measuring some 3,269 square yards at the corner of Woodside Walk and Haddow Street for the erection of a church. Granted under a disposition to the trustees, who were from the parish church, for the sum of £1,040. The ground included 3 houses fronting Haddow Street, and the rent from them went to the income of the new church. Building began in 1875 and was completed in 1877. The architect was Robert A. Bryden of Clark and Bell, Glasgow. In addition to a sanctuary, there was a vestry, an upstairs choir room, and a basement with a coal-fired boiler. There was no hall accommodation. The total cost was £10,620 and 15 shillings, which included £3,159, 14 shillings and 9 pence as a provision for the minister's stipend. The original design did show a steeple, but cost and the unacceptable load on the building's foundation caused the proposal to be discarded. The first minister was the Reverend Michael Patrick Johnson, who was ordained in the parish church in April 1877, a few months before Cadzow Church was opened for worship. When Cadzow was built, it was not a parish church, but a chapel of ease. Such a church was created by a group of people to provide a meeting place for worship, and by their financial offerings, employ a minister. The minister had no kirk session and no seat in presbytery or synod. The congregation was the responsibility of the kirk session of the parish church in which they were situated, and had to appoint trustees to manage their finances and property. Within a few months of opening, moves were made to have Cadzow Church made a quad sacra parish church, and therefore have a session for spiritual matters and a committee of management for temporal affairs. On the 26th of February 1879, a deed of declaration of trust was issued in favour of the minister of Cadzow by the Lords of Council in session, commissioners for plantations of kirks and valuation of teens, from a petition approved by the Committee of the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland. Becoming a parish church, Cadzow required a geographical area to be established as its parish. This was taken from the area of Hamilton Parish Church and included the mining districts of Fernegare, Low Waters and Edelwood. In 1887, cracks were appearing in the church building, and it was thought they were due to coal mining operations under adjoining land. The owner of the coal mine denied this was the cause. The trustees of Cadzow and the mine owner employed their own experts to prove their opinion. An investigation found the mining operations had strayed under an area of 10 square feet in the southeast corner of the church grounds. The dispute lasted over a number of years and ended when the trustees resorted to litigation, and the matter was placed before a sheriff substitute who found in favour of the trustees. The mine owner paid for the repairs, and the expenses and fees accrued by the trustees, plus compensation for the coal removed from under the church grounds. The repairs were completed by August 1899. Dry rot has been a continuous problem in the sanctuary area. There have been 5 serious outbreaks over the life of Cadzow, and each led to a redecoration of the sanctuary, with the congregation moving to other accommodation for Sunday worship. There have been alterations to the interior of the sanctuary. In 1927, the pulpit was moved from the centre of the chancel to the wall below the choir loft, and the choir was moved down to pews on either side of the chancel area. In 1999, the choir pews were replaced with chairs whilst the area of the chancel was increased. The Foster and Andrews pipe organ replaced the original American type organ in 1889, and its position has been moved to various sites on and latterly off the chancel. The move to its present position was done in 1999 when the chancel was enlarged. The absence of rooms and halls for meetings forced at various times additional structures to be built. In 1925, the session house and a lavatory. In 1939, the top kitchen and a replacement lavatory. In 1961, the large hall, bottom kitchen, ancillary rooms and replacement lavatories. Alterations to the latter in 2005 allowed a lavatory for the disabled to be installed. In 2006, both kitchens were refurbished. In the 1950s, it was becoming apparent that additional hall accommodation was required to meet the demands of the life and work of Cadzow. Several alternatives were considered, such as extending the existing hall, that is the session house, or building on top of it, but both were considered impractical. The congregation were consulted, and there was a majority vote in favour of a separate building for the new hall. Numerous buildings in the immediate area were looked at, but none was suitable. Vacant ground nearby was considered, but the cost of providing a building on it was too expensive. It was realised that Cadzow did not have enough money to build a new hall. Various fundraising schemes were introduced, which included interest-free loans from members and the proceeds from a garden party in the grounds of an elder's house. Finally, the area behind the church, once belonging to Cadzow but sold in 1938 to a John Chalmers, was repurchased. Lockhart Hudson, architect, prepared a design for a hall with ancillary rooms to be constructed on this site. The estimate was £13,000, and there was a deficit in the hall fund which required additional financial resources to be found. Grants were received from the Bear Trust and Ferguson Bequest. Members made individual donations, but eventually a bank loan had to be obtained. In mid-1959, the plans were approved by Presbytery and the Borough Council, and the work went out to tender. The laying of the foundation stone was carried out by the Very Reverend John A. Fraser of the Old Parish Church at an open-air service on Sunday the 18th of September 1960. The opening and dedication of the hall was held on Saturday the 6th of May 1961. The main guest was the Reverend James B. Longmuir, Principal Clerk to the General Assembly. The final cost was £14,480, which included fees and the cost of the ground. The world-known variety theatre performer, Sir Harry Lauder, died on the 26th of February 1950, aged 79 years. His funeral service was held in Cadzow on the 2nd of March and was well attended, with invitation cards having to be issued. In his younger years, he had been a miner in Edelwood Colliery for a time. The connection to Cadzow was through his family, who had stayed in John Street in 1891. He was a friend of the Reverend T.G. Harkness Graham, minister of Cadzow. The connection to him continued into the 1980s through the Fraser family. In 1984, Miss Greta Fraser gifted the stained glass window of the Nativity by John Blythe in memory of the Fraser family, alongside the other windows under the balcony facing the pulpit. There are 7 stained glass windows and 2 World War I memorial tablets in the sanctuary. There is also a circular rose window, unfortunately hidden from a large area of the sanctuary by the organ pipes. Underneath the balcony facing the pulpit, there are 5 stained glass windows, and moving from left to right, the Nativity by John Blythe, dedicated in 1984 in memory of the Fraser family. Jesus as a Child in the Temple by John Blythe, dedicated in 1987 in memory of the Harley family. Jesus and the Children by G. Mayle, dedicated in 1938 in memory of the Harley family. Crucifixion by John Blythe, dedicated in 1987 in memory of the Harley family. Resurrection by John Blythe, dedicated in 1988 in memory of the Jackson family. Facing the main entrance to the sanctuary is the largest stained glass window. It is the memorial to the fallen in World War II. The theme is the Beatitudes by Douglas Hamilton.